Hello and welcome to my first live stream. Oh, Carol. Hi, Carol. I'm so glad you're here. This is one of my dearest and oldest friends, Carol Moss. Thank you for coming, sweetie. It's so good to see you. I'm so new to this. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I unmute? Uh, um, I have my friend in the back. She says, no, don't unmute. Oh. Hi, Cindy. Carol, you can't unmute yourself, smartass. Hi, Cindy. Thank you for joining us. Cindy. Cindy is another person I've known for many, many years. You guys are so great. Thank you. I so appreciate you joining us. I have Camilla in the background. You can't see her. She's waving her hands and muted herself so she can hear me, but I can't see her. That's right, Carol. You can't talk. So anyway, I'm so grateful that you guys decided. It looks like, no, it's not vocally interactive. I don't know. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Banner. I need to unmute the banner because it's hide. There we go. That must have been right, Camellia. Okay. So today, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or anything, you can always send them to me, and we'll have a little banner running below here in a minute that'll show you how to do it. But I just wanted to come on and make my first video about last year. I mean, last year was a rough year. I mean, it was a bona fide dumpster fire on so many levels. It picked us up and threw us around physically, mentally, emotionally. It just drained the hell out of all of us, leaving us to wonder what our future is going to look like. Is this our future? Our masks are our future. And we're all just kind of wandering around, wondering what to do next. Now, I could sit here and we could unpack last year. We could look at it through the energy, the eyes of the other side. We could, move through it, talk about it, commiserate how it affected us. But that's not what we're going to do. What I chose to do instead is to help be part of the solution, which is it's time for us to pick ourselves up, turn ourselves toward the future, and start heading in that direction, okay? And for those of you who are not as up on the energy lingo, I know you speak it, but let me just explain a little bit about how energy works. We're all energy. Everything is made up of energy. And everything has its own energy signature, okay? My energy signature is Billy Burchett. Mine is entirely different than yours. You have your own energy signature. Cindy, Carol, that's how we identify them, but they're all entirely different. Everything is comprised of energy, but it all has its own different energy signatures, okay? So the pandemic, it has its own energy signature, that started from its birth. And it grew bigger and bigger. And as it moved through the world and continues to move through the world, it has brought with it some of the most gnarly energy we haven't seen September 11th. There's chaos, despair, fear, anxiety, what if. It's drowning us. And as its own type of energy, every time you start to talk about it, every time you get online or commiserate with others about it, you step into all of that energy, all of that nasty, dirty, what if our lives are never going to be the same energy. And it saturates in you, and it reads in the back of your mind like an open app on your phone. or on any of your devices. You can't not see something about the pandemic. I'm not telling you to ignore the pandemic. I'm telling you that it's time for us to start managing it before it manages you. Okay? Energy, as far as life is concerned, moves in a forward motion. Okay? And energy follows thought. So if your thoughts are about the sorrow and the suffering and the badness of the pandemic, that's where your thoughts will live. That is where your manifestations will stay. In your background, they will run repeatedly, and you'll wonder why you can't move forward, because you have this big chunk of you sitting in last year and at the beginning of this year, because the beginning of this year, it was shaping up to be as bad as last year, especially for those of us in America. If you continue to allow that running in your background, that you will continue to be an emotional mess. It will affect you physically, mentally, and emotionally, and it'll affect your future self, because you weren't meant to live in that energy. Okay? It's destructive. So we want to learn. I have my notes here, so anyone who knows me or has been to any one of my classes knows that I will go off on a tangent in many different directions. What we want to do is we want to direct our attentions, all that we are, to where we want to be, not where we are. Okay? I'm going to say that again. You want to direct your attentions, your manifestations, what you want your life to look like, what you want your future to look like. You want to direct them to where you want to be, not where you are. So that as you walk forward, as you move forward, trying to take step by step, going out of your house, going out into the world, wearing a mask, that you start to be able to move into the light and out of the pandemic. This isn't something that's going to be done overnight. You have to take your time. You have to go at your own speed. Don't let anybody push you, because there's a fine line between being fearful and being cautious. Okay? Fearful is when you won't go outside because you're afraid it's going to kill you. Then we need to have a conversation about that. But mostly what I see is people trying to be cautious. They want to step out. They want to start living their lives, but they're not quite sure how to do it. Is everybody wearing a mask? Should I wear a mask? What is everybody else doing? You can look and see what everybody else is doing if you want. Or you can stop and see what you do is comfortable for you, right? My wife and I, wherever we go, we still wear a mask. We see people without masks. We understand that they're vaxxed and this person's probably vaxxed, but it's the unknown. And we are both high risk. So why put ourselves through the anxiety of walking around without a mask just because everybody else is? Okay. So if your comfort level and you go in and your inner voice says, yeah, we're going to wear a mask in here, wear a mask. Don't pay attention to what everybody else is doing. Okay. Pay attention to what's comfortable for you. You start going out in groups that are comfortable for you. Okay. And yeah, I have to tell you this funny story. One of my dearest friends, she's like a sister to me, her and her husband, he's like a brother to me. And they had this little get together, 10 people of everybody that had been vaxxed. And we were all outside and we were all just sitting there. And we were all kind of happy and hesitant at the same time. And these are the funniest, sweetest, kindest people. And everybody had been vaxxed, but when we all hugged each other, we were all very tentative. We all had our masks in hand, just in case. And then her sister, who's I hadn't met before, she was so funny, she turned around and said, I just want to say that I've been eating with my mouth open for the past year because I'm by myself. So if I have any food coming out of my mouth, somebody please tell me. All of us broke it. we just went into hysterics. It was so funny. It just eased. It just broke the tension. Humor always breaks the tension. So if you're trying to get out there and you're trying to do something, get some humor going on in that background to help push you forward, but don't let anybody push you past your comfort zone. Okay? Oh, look at all the people who've joined us. Marianne, Annie, thank you all for being here. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them, because I feel like I'm talking at the speed of light. I'm not talking too fast, am I? Let me check to make sure my don't read out loud. Okay. Thank you, Camilla. I will not read out loud. My beloved, you can't see her, assistant is on in the background trying to help me, and she just told me not to read out loud. So I won't read out loud. So what I want you to do, I want you to think about all that you want in your life, because when we look at manifestation, comes in, is only 3 steps. There's not a whole lot to manifesting, okay? It's actually quite easy. Step 1, the thought comes in. What do I want my life to look like post-pandemic? Okay? Step 2, you start to mull it around inside of yourself. What does it feel? What do I want? And you start talking about it. You talk about it with some friends. What do I want my life to look like? And then step 3, and the one that most everybody falls down on, is action. You have to take the actions, even if it's 1 step, 2 steps, to start showing the universe that you do want to move forward. You have to take the action. Otherwise, the universe just sees you sitting there. So you're like, okay, I'll just sit here. So it's about showing the universe and all of those who love you and support you on the other side that you're willing to move forward. And many times we get ourselves stuck around people that we love. They can't stop talking about the pandemic this, the pandemic that. You're not trying to ignore the pandemic, and you're not trying to ignore your friends, or your family, or your loved ones. What you're trying to do is walk with the pandemic. And we're going to do a short little thing to help redirect all of your energy and focus to moving forward. But stay out of those conversations. Stay out of the conversations of we're never going to get through this, or what if it comes back around, or all of this. Try to stay in the center. Let everybody talk about it, but you talk about what you want to do next. You talk about what you want and what you're going to do. And that will start the waves. Everything moves in a wave form, right? You tell someone says, oh, so-and-so was thinking about moving forward. I think I'm going to do this. She's going to pick up painting. I think I'll pick up painting. And help draw other people out of this pandemic energy, because the bottom line is, from an energetic perspective, the pandemic isn't going to go away overnight. We all know that. So stop trying to hide it, pull it forward, and walk alongside of it, not in it. I hope this makes sense. Because when you walk in it, then all you're doing is walking in despair and the unknown and all of that we talked about. And that's not fair. That's not the way you were meant to live your life. You are meant to be, in the world, not of the world. You are meant to be out enjoying the world, not letting it own you or take you. And fear is so prominent right now. Fear is everywhere. Fear of moving forward, fear of getting sick, fear of dying, fear of all this fear. Put that in a box for now. Push it to the side, because this right now, that's not going to help you move forward. Anytime we go through a major transition, and this has kind of been a major transition for everyone. It shook us all up, changed our jobs, changed everything. But anytime you go through a transition, you sit and you can sit in it for a short amount of time, to absorb it, to see it, to get to know that it's really there. But then at some point, it's time to turn your direction and start deciding how you're going to handle this transition. What are you going to do? Where are you going to do? What actions you're going to take? How you're going to do them, so that you start moving forward. Okay, and that's one of the biggest things you can do, and you're honoring the past and helping yourself to move forward. Does anybody have any questions to this point? Am I making sense? Am I rambling too fast? Okay, sounds good. Okay. We operate as individuals and as a collective. That's how humanity is. It's individuals and a collective. And it doesn't sound like one individual can do much, but one individual adding another individual, that's when I talked about creates the wave, and then the collective starts following. And that's what we need to do, is follow as a collective moving forward. Summer is here. Somebody give me a comment. Tell me what you want to do for your summer. Tell me what you got going on for your summer that you want to do that you may be afraid to do. What do I think of the energy of 2021? Thank you, Annie. I think the energy of 2021 is a question mark. It's very individual. It's the question of, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit here? Are you going to move forward? Are you going to move forward in fear? The energy of 2021 is open possibilities. There's so many possibilities, because the one thing that the pandemic did do, a friend of mine calls them the pandemic perks, because there were some. It's open. You can think out of the box. No more boxes. You think out of the box on what you want to do, what you want to create. Maybe you need to create a new career. Maybe you want to do something different. That's what the pandemic has left behind, is a world of possibilities. Yes, it's left a lot of destruction. Not denying that. But it's also left behind a lot of possibilities. And in 2021, that energy is all over the place. All you have to do is focus in on it and start doing it. Cindy says travel. Excellent, Cindy. So Cindy, you're going to, I know you, Cindy, you're going to take your precautions because you're careful, and yet you're going to go enjoy yourself and just do the best you can. Stay away from people and do your thing. Carol, returning to working in the office. That's an excellent one, Carol. I'm glad you brought that up, because there's something about working at home. It's a 50-50 thing, especially if you're an introvert. Working from home is like, yay, I'm in my little cave. I get to do my thing. Yay. But then all of your work energy, back to the talking of energy, shows up. It's in your house. And now you have your sacred space, your home, saturated with work energy on top of your sacred energy. And there's something to be said for stepping out of the house, doing your work outside, and then coming home. Though, Carol, I know you probably designated a certain room or area and made sure that energy stayed there and didn't go anywhere past that. Oh, Camellia, what did you say? This summer, I want to travel around Ireland. I'm reading out loud, Camellia, and do my first stand-up show in front of a real audience. Oh my God, I got to tell you this. I hit the jackpot when I got my virtual assistant. Camellia, that's her last name there. I don't know that anybody can pronounce it. I don't think she can pronounce it. Anyway, she is so funny, and she did her first stand-up in the pandemic on a Zoom video. I mean, come on. How many ovaries does it take to do that? She kicked it. She really, that's awesome that she did it, and it didn't stop her, and she's going to continue to do it. So these are the things that help us move forward and thrive. And you know what? You want to hang around other people. Go to these comedy shows. Find out where they are. They're online. I didn't know that. Find out where they're at and Get some humor in there. Hang with other people who laugh and other people who want to move forward like you do, you know, because you're gonna get those people who just are stuck. You can do what? Oh, I promise I'm not going to read this out loud, but I lost it. Okay, so I wanted to kind of end this with kind of a getting everybody together kind of thing. So I just want you to take a moment, stop doing whatever it is you're doing, unless you're driving or operating somebody will cut off your fingers. I want you just to take a moment, because we've been living in this weird box that seems that it's almost impossible to get out of. And and it seems like it's just caving, the walls are caving in. So I want you just to sit here for a moment with me, close your eyes if you can, and in your mind's eye, see yourself standing in the eye of the storm. In this case, it would be in the eye of the pandemic. Anybody who knows storms knows that the center of the storm is the calmest. And you see all of this swirling around you: despair, news media, anger, frustration. It's just all swirling around you. Now I want you to create like a walkway, to walk straight through that and out of the pandemic and out of that box, to the point where now you're walking next to the pandemic. All that is you has stepped out of the pandemic. You are no longer part of the pandemic. You are no longer in it. You are now walking alongside of it. You see a bridge in front of you, and you start walking over that bridge. That bridge contains all of the possibilities in 2021. Allow yourself just a minute to walk through those and into one, and take all that you want with you. Because on the other side of that bridge, where I want you to go time and time again, even after this session, is hope. The energy of hope, the energy of healing, the energy of possibilities, the energy of unlimited happiness. That's where I want you to go. That's where I want you to live. When you wake up in the morning, see that bridge. See the energies there waiting for you. Hope, happiness, healing. Marianne riding your horses, going out, traveling with your husband. That's what I want you to see every morning, so that in the mornings you don't wake up and see what you have been seeing, which is what's new in the world of the pandemic. Okay? And now allow yourself to come back. So every morning, this is what I want you to do. Now your energies have collectively, all that is you, walked out of that storm. Storm still rages next to you. You can take a peek in, see what's going on, but it stays out there. The other side of the bridge is where you live. That is where the best parts are. That's your future. Okay? If nobody has any more questions, I'm going to put this little banner up here and do a couple of housekeeping things. I learned that too from YouTube. I'm so proud. I'm going to try to do videos once a week. Next week, I would like to do one on coming out of the shadow side, learning what your shadow side is. These will be half-hour classes. If you need help to move through this pandemic, or you just need something from me where I can help show you more of a way, please feel free to hit me up on my website or my Instagram, and we can set you up a session and we can help you move through it, because this is a really hard time. Not everybody can just sail through it. So please feel free to hit me up on that. And the future videos, because Facebook is limited, the future videos we're going to do will all be on YouTube. And I'm going to try to start a YouTube channel and just do some little YouTuber things until I can start putting together bigger classes, until I get comfortable enough to do the bigger classes online. I've been teaching for 30 plus years, but this whole online thing is really difficult because I can't, it's just hard to see your energy. Camelia would know after trying to deal with comedian online. So if nobody has any other questions, it's been my honor. It's been wonderful. Thank you guys for showing up. Carol, Marianne, Annie, Cindy, thank you all for being here. I so greatly appreciate it. And Camelia, oh God, I love you. Thank you. Thank you all. Goodbye.